In this video, we're going to learn how to create this. A link to download the resources will be given in the description so you can check them out to follow suit. I'll open Photoshop. I'll click on File and I'll click on New to create a new document. I'll be creating a 4x4 inch document and I'll click on Create. First off is I would like to come over here and add a gradient to my design. I'll come over to this place and I'll pick a gradient. I'll set it and I'll give the Hex code in the description. I'll click on OK. Next off is I'll change this angle to somewhere around here. Change it to somewhere around -30. I'll reverse it and I'll click on OK. I can come over and next thing we have to do is to bring in our backgrounds. I'll come over here and I'll drop in this first background like this. I'll click on OK and I'll set it to screen. You can drop it here nicely like that. Press Ctrl J on your keyboard and bring it up. Press Ctrl T, right click and flip it horizontally. Right click and flip it vertically also. Click on OK. Next off is you drop it here nicely like that. Add the layer marks so you can brush off the edges. Click B on your keyboard, make sure your foreground color is set to black. You can brush off the edges just like this and pick your move tool. Next off is we'll bring in our next background and we'll drop it here like that. Click on OK. You can reduce this background at the top to somewhere around 50%. Yes. And this one, I'll pick this and I'll set it to screen also. Bring this up here nicely, just like that, so we can have a bit of clouds in our document. Next off is I'll bring in the next cloud and I'll drop it in my design. I'll click on OK and I'll set this to screen. This will be in the center. You can reduce the opacity to 80%. Next off is I'll bring in the next background also. This and I'll drop it in the document like this. Click on OK and you can bring this down here. Set it to screen also so you can have it blend into the document like that. Next thing we want to do is you want to select everything and press Ctrl G on your keyboard. We can name this BG or background. Next off is you can come over here and we can bring in this text. I'll drop it here nicely like that and I'll click on OK. Right click here and pick your blending options. Once your blending options load, add the color overlay and set it to black. After setting it to black, click on OK and click on OK, just like that. Next off is we can add your logo somewhere around here, so I'll just type in my logo. You can add your logo here depending on whatever logo you have for the project. So I'm just going to type in your logo here, just like that. I'll set it to black so you can all know that it's supposed to be a logo at this place. I'll click on OK and I'll drop it here nicely like that. Press Ctrl A to center it. I'll pick my effect also and I'll center it both horizontally and vertically. Press Ctrl D. I can then raise it up just a bit. Next off is I'm going to type Sunday. Create a new layer and pick my text tool. I'll be using the font Magic Bright script. So we can use this bold and I'll type Sunday. After doing that, press Ctrl A and we'll change the color to yellow. So you can pick the brightest of the yellow you want, just like that. I'll click on OK and I'll press Ctrl T to expand it. After doing that, I'll click OK, press Ctrl A and pick my move tool and center it just like that. I'll press Ctrl D and I'll place it here nicely like that. After doing that, next off is I want to bring in my images. I'll come over here and I'll bring in the first image. This is the first image here. I'll drop it here nicely and I'll click on OK. Next off is I'll right click and I'll rasterize my layer. Come over to my layer properties and I'll remove the background just like that. After removing the background, you allow Photoshop to remove the background for you, or you can use some third-party apps. I'll come over here and I'll drop it here nicely like that. Press Ctrl T to expand it. I'll press enter on my keyboard and I'll place it in the middle of this spacing here. Next off is I'll bring in this image and I'll drop it here like that. Click on OK and I'll bring it here nicely. Press Ctrl T to reduce the size so that we can have it, and you can bend it a bit just like that so it wouldn't cover the face. You can press Ctrl T and reduce it well. After doing that, drop it here nicely like that. Come over here, you can pick the main image and reduce it a bit just like this. Drop it down and we are good. Next off is I'll pick in and bring in my next image. I'll bring in the girl and I'll drop her into the document. I'll reduce the image also to what I feel fit and I'll click on OK. Next off is I'll bring her down here just like that. Can increase. Basically you just want to try to balance both of them together. Drop her here like this and I'll bring in the last image for the design. You can rotate her a bit and increase it just like that. So basically we're just trying to create a scenario where people are happy after winning, for overcoming. You click OK, press Ctrl T on your keyboard and you can reduce this well, and you can click OK here. Come over to this place and drop him here like that. Press Ctrl T to expand a bit and click on OK. You can pick the other image and make sure they aren't blocking each other just like that. Increase, press Ctrl T and increase this. You can drop him down a bit and you can pick the 4 images. Press Ctrl G on our keyboard and rename these to image. Next off is I'd like to add my contact buttons. I'll come over here and I'll bring in my call to action and I'll drop it here nicely like that. I want to make use of the location. I'll pick on my marquee tool and I'll select just this place alone. Right click, new layer, copy, and pick my move tool and I'll move over to this document and I'll drop it here like that. Press Ctrl T on my keyboard to reduce it nicely here and I'll drop it here just like that in alignment with this. Click on the rectangle tool and draw a diminished rectangle like that. So you pick a rectangle. So we draw a rectangle that's a bit diminished and click OK just like this. We can pick our text tool and this time we'll be using the font Creator Display. So we can use the bold font and we set this to black. I'll be switching this to left and I'll come over to my layers and I'll add a new layer. I'll click on this place, I'll copy my text which says Church Auditorium, copy it and I'll paste it here nicely like that. Click on OK and I'll pick my move tool and I'll drop it here nicely like that. Select the 3 together like this and align them. Align the spacing also. You can press Ctrl G and rename this to location. After doing that, press Ctrl T on your keyboard and you can reduce it a bit to this side. Click on OK and now we want to add our dates in this area of the design. Click on your image and you can drag them over to your design like this. pick your rectangle tool and draw a nice rectangle here, just like that. Come over here and remove the fill. Add a stroke to it, color black, and increase your stroke to somewhere around 3. Come over to the properties and change it to 10%. Pick your move tool, and I think we're good. Come over to layers, create a new layer over the rectangle. Pick your text tool and you type 11. So type 11 just like that. Click OK. I'll press Ctrl T and I'll expand it nicely like this. After doing that, I'll click on OK and I'll pick my move tool and I'll drop it here nicely like that. I will pick my text tool again, and this time I'll be using medium. I'll copy June 2023 and I'll paste it in my design. After doing so, I'll click on OK, press Ctrl T to increase it and align it with in weight with 11. Click on enter and align both of them together. Select, and after doing this, you can just make sure they are aligned. You can pick the 3 of them together, press Ctrl G and type date. After doing so, we can pick our image down to the effect and raise it up nicely like this, so we can have breathing space in our design. You can pick your image, press Ctrl T and drag the image down from this area. Click on OK and align it back. Next off is our location. We try to balance it, and our dates. You can press Ctrl T to reduce this. Bring in your image, this image, and you can drop him here like this to create a balance in the design. After doing this, the next thing you want to do is add social media handles. You can add your social media handles over here just like that. Next thing we'll add over this design is this. We'll come over here and drop it here nicely like that. Right click and flip horizontally. After flipping horizontally, click on OK, and the next thing you do is we change it to screen. You can bring it up here nicely like that. Press Ctrl A on your keyboard to center it. Press Ctrl D. You can reduce the opacity to 70%. So next off is I'll add my layer marks. Pick my brush tool, right click and make sure the hardness is set to 0. You can brush off the layers of the edges like this. After doing that, pick my move tool and I would like to add the final part of this design. Come over here and we'll add our light into the design. Just like that, click on OK. You can change this to screen also. Press Ctrl T to center it and expand just the way you see fit. Click on OK and place it anywhere you like. Add the layer marks and brush off the edges. So add the layer marks, you can brush off the edges just like that. Make sure your foreground color is set to black. After doing so, I'll add the final lights. Come over here and I'll pick lights and I'll drop this light in my design. So you can just place them here and press Ctrl A, center it, press Ctrl D. You can just align them a bit like that. Pick this, right click and pick this light and drop them over like this, and you can bring it down to the bottom of the document over below the image layer. Bring it here and drop it nicely like that. And with that, you'll be able to create a church flyer like this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.